Hello, everyone, and hope you see my screen. And welcome to the Certification Saturday. And thank you, Julian, for putting this together. It's really important, and especially in this pandemic. Well, I mean, it is extremely important to have such meetings, but especially these days, so where people need more and more learning and getting up certified and knowledgeable. So for some things, a lot of people have been laid off and lost their job, but this pandemic, well, and this unfortunate situation also created a possibility to do more things from our homes. So not everything is ideal, but we can at least help each other getting getting ramped up into the IT skills. What I want to share you now today is similar what Tiago have been talking about. And I had a lot of thoughts about the study guide and the format well, I thought a lot about how this presentation should be um, consistent, and then what it should consist of. And usually, the typical study guide was going through the each and every topic. Usually, the Microsoft official curriculum course teaches the AZ104 in 5 days, 4 days. There have been some adjustments as well to cover AZ104 properly in 5 days. But covering 5 days in 1 hour and just pinpointing you what you need to know, it's well, I started doing the presentation and then deleted it and started doing it all over again. What I've done actually is what I want to show you is where are the resources, what are going to be tested on, and a little bit tips of tricks. There is going to be some overlap with some previous sessions, of course, but nevertheless, I think that after all, you're the one that will be reaping the benefits of it. And I usually also sometimes actually, I also attend some study guide sessions because you can always teach an old dog a new trick. So I always learn something new from my colleagues and peers. So, well, to cut the story short, let's go with the study guide. My name is Sasha, and I've been in industry for a long time, since MS-DOS era and Windows version 3, and I worked with every operating system from the late 80s till today. I'm also Azure MVP and Microsoft regional lead, MCT regional lead, and a certified trainer, as well as the AC Council instructor, and also a member of Microsoft Certification Advisory Council, and been doing training a lot, as well, at least 20 years, more than 20 years, and been MCT for nearly 15 years now. But one important thing is that I will be sharing the presentation and the links and the PDFs in OneDrive folder. I've already put these in there, and I will share the link at the end. So you can take the study guide with all the URLs that are in there, and click and match the documentation with the actual skills measured sections. And first of all, what we will talk about AZ-104, it is Microsoft Azure Administrator Study Guideline and exam topics and skill measured preparation materials, ways to prepare, exam taking tips and tricks and more. So it would be really well, not good, and if I went through all the topics, well, we will go through some topics that are relevant, but at the end, you are the one that needs to learn the stuff and go through each of these, and this will take more than 1 hour and more than 5 days and more than a few weeks, I think, and depending on what is your experience with the working with Azure, especially with the topics that AZ104 deal with. And first of all, let's take a look at what it is. So AZ104 is the prerequisite for Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate. And this exam is the role-based exam. Well, actually, almost all the exams that Microsoft has now are role-based exams. There are some that are not. I'm not sure if I have to double check if all the old style product-based exams have been retired. But let's say with a certain with certainty that all exams and certifications are role-based. So this is also something. What means role-based certification? It means that this is not just these exams and certifications are not just tied to one product, and these are tied to a role. So you have to read about the role that the exam or certification covers, and then read also about the prerequisites. And in this role, a typical worker and the holder of the role can work with multiple technologies. So we can span multiple technologies. So don't just think that it's the Azure Administrator Associate, that that it's also that this is just about Azure. Certainly, you have to know a little bit more things. So the more things you know, it's the better it is. For the exam itself, then there's the skills measure. We will see that as well. It is important that you know that the skills measure are the ones that are you'll be tested on the topics that are listed in there. But there can be possibility that there will be references to some other products and features. So it's important also to know a little bit bigger picture. After all, it will help you with the job. So for the Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate, you need to take one exam, and there are no formal prerequisites, meaning you don't have to have any additional exam taken or passed before you can take or earn the Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate or AZ104 exam. So you can just go and schedule an exam and take it and pass, of course. The candidates for the Azure Administrator Associate certification should have subject matter expertise implementing, managing, and monitoring an organization Microsoft Azure environment, and that involves multiple technologies. So this is just a broad description that responsibilities for this role include implementation and management and monitoring of different technologies and identity, governance, storage, compute, virtual networks, cloud environment, plus provisioning, and sizing, resizing, monitoring, adjusting resources when needed, and so on. So multiple products are covered in there. And as well as there's also a placement, let's say, of the typical role or person in overall Azure picture, and that is the Azure administrator often serves as a part of a larger team, and And also the candidate for this certification should have at least 6 months. This is the approximation of the hands-on experience. Although you can, of course, you can, well, you shouldn't be able to pass the exam without hands-on experience. But of course, some people claim that they have been able to pass without hands-on experience, but that's not the point, and there's no actually point in proving that or trying to do this, because you're not as Tiago said previously, and as we've been talking previously in the previous sessions in events, that there's no point in waiving with the paper, with a certificate, or with a diploma, or with a degree, or whatever, and knowing just theory. So you have to be able to implement this theory into practice. So when someone asks you on the job how to do something, and when you get a task to do something, then you should be able to do that, and no cramming from the book will actually prepare you for this. So you have to have a hands-on experience. So there's, I mean, we are adults and we are serious people, and we do that for our jobs, and so we should prepare as properly. So there's no practice without theory, and there's no theory without practice. So theory and practice have to go along. So to be successful to have success and understand properly the practical part, you have to know the theory. And of course, there is no point in knowing the theory if you don't know how to transfer the theory into the practice. So hands-on, definitely. And it will help you greatly if you subscribe, if you set up a trial subscription for in Azure. You get $300 for, I think, 3 days, and there's also some other possibilities. For example, if you have a Visual Studio subscription, or if you have enterprise agreement, or if you have if you're a student, then you have as a student you are eligible to have the perpetual recurring credit on a monthly basis. Depending on the institution, I think this should be around between 100 and 150 US dollars, something like that. And that can help you as well. If you attend an official Microsoft Visual Curriculum course, then you will be able to get also the hands-on experience, or if you have the access to some if you subscribe to lab providers or some courses, you usually the students also have Azure Access assured as well. And what else? For the specifics of the AZ-104, we've mentioned that is a candidate for this exam also. Well, this is the exam, and the certification is practically the same. So PowerShell, Azure CLI, Portal, Resource Manager, templates, workloads, security governance, and so on. Languages that are covered are English, Chinese Simplified, and Korean and Japanese. And there is no retirement date. So previously, the retirement date was well, for now, since 104 is a relatively new one, there won't be any retirement date. It's not yet announced, so as of today, no date for retirement of this exam. Previously, the versions were 100, 101, and then 103. 102 was the transitional exam, and 104 is now the one that is the new one. The price is based on the country in which exam is proctored, and it's ranging approximately from $80 US to 165 euros. That is the $200, and that's the typical price. And watch out for the opportunities to take the exams for exam replays, retries. So there are some campaigns from time to time that exam replays allow us to take the exam twice for the price of the one attempt. So if you, or a little bit more than one attempt, but significantly less than two exams. So if you fail once, then you have the possibility to take the exam the second time as well for free. And if you pass, of course, for the first time, then you get credit for passing the exam. So the exam number of questions, well, one disclaimer though, so Microsoft does not officially publish the number of questions and that are going to be, or types of the questions that are going to be there. This is determined individually for each candidate. So, well, roughly number of questions can be from 40 to 60, but take this with a pinch of salt. So there can be deviations from these numbers. And exam duration is 180 minutes. Non-native English speakers get additional 30 minutes. So if original exam duration is 180, so you could get 210 minutes in total. Passing score is 700, and that's for every Microsoft exam. And this is from a scale from, well, not 1, but actually is the error, not from 1, but from 300 to 1000. So 700 is not equal 70%, because the exam items are weighted, and the more difficult questions have more carry more weight, let's say points, and the easier items carry less points. So you could theoretically you could theoretically answer half of the questions correctly and pass, or 75% of the questions incorrectly correctly and don't pass. So that no one knows how many questions you will get at the exam, and the type of the questions, and the distribution of these questions. We will also take a look at what are the question types, and so the 700 is an aggregate score of all the questions that you got. So 699. If you get 699, you fail. If you get 700 and higher, then you pass the exam. And you can't take the exam again if you passed, but you can retake the exam if you fail for a certain time. There are some, of course, prerequisites for taking the exams multiple times. So skill measures are these are the study areas: manage Azure identities and governance, and implementing and managing storage, deploying and managing Azure compute resources, configuring and managing virtual networking, and monitoring and backing up resources. These are the relative weights, and they can range, you can see, from 15-20% to 10, 15, 25, 30, depending, or 30, 35, depending on the study area. So from 10 to 35%. And what is most important is that these percentages indicate the relative weight of each area on the exam. This the higher the percentage, the more questions you are likely to see in that area. But you should you should get at least some questions from each of the study areas, from the skills measured areas. So there won't be a situation where you won't get any question, zero questions from a certain study area. So you will definitely 100% get at least a question from an exam item from each of the study areas. From some of them, well, the weights actually, as we said, determine the relative likeliness to see the more questions of that exam of the question from that area in your study. So prerequisites are, of course, you have to know a little bit of you have to have a little bit of knowledge prior to taking this exam, and of course a solid hands-on experience would be required. Understanding of on-premises virtualization technologies, including VMs, virtual networking, and hard disks, of course, and understanding of basic network configuration, TCP, domain name system, and VPNs, firewall, encryption technology, etc., as well as the identity technologies, for example, such as users, AD concepts, Azure AD concepts, and groups, RBAC, role-based access controls, and etc., as well as concepts about resilience and disaster recovery, and so on. There are some prerequisites, and Microsoft Learn has a series of fundamental modules for Azure networking and security, and more modules are being added every day, and that can help students ramp up on Azure Basics. So this is the URL. Don't worry about copying and making screenshots. We'll make these slides available, and you can download them and go from there. So at the end, I will share the URL. You will get all the documents and the previous certification, the previous session about the certification tips as well from the previous certification Saturday. Let's go quickly and take a look at the other things as well. There's also an AZ104 Prerequisite for Azure Administrators Learning Path. So this is the URL for that. Again, don't worry about copying the URLs. You will get the PDF. You will get the presentation. So let's take quickly a look at the Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate. So this is the certificate. This is the page. And these are the certification details. So to earn certification, you have to take one exam, and this is the AZ104. This is the skill measured, and you can download the certification skills outline. The Tiago Costa have in the previous session has already mentioned these. So this is the first one, but and then if you go to the exam itself, then there's also the Microsoft Certified. The exam. Sorry, there it is. So the exam AZ104 also has in red one important part, that is the exam. The information that exam content was updated on March 26th. And there is the skill measure document below to see what changed. So first of all, you should go into the skills measure and download the exam skills outline, and it is that Tiago also already showed you. So these are the skills measured and topics and subtopics, and as well as the percentages, and I won't go through each and every of these because you've already seen that. This is the comparison table, new study guide and former study guide, etc. So don't worry about these. And you've already seen the topics to study. What I prepared, there is a also, but I first have to know about. Let me show you this one. How much? Okay. How much hybrid knowledge is required, or it's all cloud? So, not sure, depending on the questions. I've been a part of. Well, uh, um, you should have knowledge about how to connect. For example, there is the, let's go quickly into the skills measured. So first of all, there's the storage, of course, but it's the VMs, contains virtual networking. So there it is. If we speak about hybrid, then you have also, there it is, integrate an on-premises network with an Azure virtual network. And that is, we have to know how to, the details about Azure VPN gateways, details about Azure ExpressRoute, and how to configure Azure Virtual WAN wide area network. So creating local gateways, VPN gateways, connections between them, the types of the gateways, and so on, the different SKUs, stock keeping units, the through outputs, bandwidths, and so on. So we should know how to configure and troubleshoot these. So don't just focus on these topics here. These I suggest that you take these as a guidelines and don't just look at these and just focus on, for example, on these three skills. Look a little bit left and look a little bit right from to say so from these tasks and technologies. So don't just read about how to create and configure Azure VPN Gateway. Read also what is the Azure VPN Gateway, the differences between SKUs, the characteristics and the throughputs, bandwidths, and different characteristics of different SKUs, the differences between them, between the availability zones, VPN gateways, and so on. So the terminology. Active, passive, and BGP and Border Gateway Protocol, and etc. So the more the broader knowledge you have, it will be easier to grasp the question and answer it. So, but first of all, you have to have the skills and knowledge how to create and configure. If you take a look at the AZ104, which is the associate exam, the associate exams deal with configuring, creating, monitoring, using, troubleshooting. And the 303 and 304, which are the architect exams, deal with choose appropriate technology and identify and so on. So associate exams are a little bit more on how to do things, and the architect why you should choose one over the other. And if you have 5 technologies that are equally useful, why choose one over the other? Well, what are the benefits and disadvantages and so on? But you should have a little bit also knowledge about these. So you don't have to go very broadly or very deeply, but don't just go and then do just these 3 topics and nothing else. So be sure that you explore a little bit left and right from these. And this is something that you have to know about these hybrid scenarios. And typically, there is no hybrid scenarios in here, as far as I know, except from the things that, for example, like network watcher or load balancing, there is some I don't know which questions might include some access from the on-prem or backing up on-premises on-premises workloads. So you are going to be tested on the on these things. So let me see if there are some different things in here. Extensions, containers, of course, and there's the of course Azure Firewall, and yes, backing up Azure resources, of course. Yes, and then site recovery backup as well. Recovery services also can back up on premises things. So just take a look also capabilities and scenarios that include also recovery services and backing up things on-prem. No one can actually know what questions will you will get, but if nothing else, if you know the scenarios and the characteristics and how to create a recovery services vault and perform backup and restore operations using Azure Backup and Site Recovery for the Azure workloads, then it's just one step away, the knowledge and time to learn the same thing for the on-prem. Don't just skip these and do that as well. What else? I'll close this one and concentrate on other things. So what's important? These when you scroll down, there are ways to prepare. So first one will be InstructorLed, and that is paid. So this is the Microsoft official curriculum, and the online is free. That is using the learning paths from the Microsoft Learn. So if you type in aka.ms/learn, then you will be taken to Microsoft Learn website. And in here you have revamped new AZ104 modules for, and click show more, for gaining knowledge about 104. So I strongly recommend that you go through these. So let's go and take a look at these. So control and click opens another one. So AZ104 Prerequisite for Azure administrators. Just don't go in and straightly and immediately straight away to the modules. Just read this and take a look at the prerequisites. So you have links for Azure Fundamentals Part 1, 2 to 6, and then you have this one, which is the prerequisites for Azure administrators. So these are very valuable. I suggest that you go through each of these as will provide a very good thorough knowledge. And what's even more interesting, and I like it very much. It is these are very nicely nicely written and very good content, nice pictures, nice explanations. And what is more important, you have also Azure Sandbox in there. So you have to have your own Azure ID and your own subscription in there, I think. But well, actually account, but you won't be charged anything because it will provision when needed a sandbox environment in Azure for the exercises. So take your time. Don't just go and collect your XPs, but you can do that for fun that as well. So if you complete this one, it will get you this amount of points. But what is more important is the knowledge that you will get through. So each of the paths here. So here you go. The total path consists of 9 modules, and it will take you approximately 6 hours and a half hours to get through the prerequisites. and each of the parts from 1 to 6 have its own number of modules and length and duration. So this is really material to go through more than a week. So let's say very easily 2 weeks of material to go through. I strongly suggest that you go through these, since these are very, very nicely written. So these are very good, and a lot of modules here, a lot of things to learn. And then after you do the Azure prerequisites, then you can go to the part 1 and N, etc., etc. So you can see all the learning paths here as well, and you can bookmarks these and go from there. So strongly recommended. What I suggest that you other things as well. So quickly, let's go below the 2 ways to prepare. So these are the learning paths. Don't skip these. Go through each and every. I've gone through these after I passed the exam, and these are really nicely written. So I suggest that you go through these. Related certifications, of course, but what I want you to mention is and emphasize is the exam resources. Exam resources have some hidden gems in here. So journey to certification, we'll open this in a new window. It will show you the PDF with a clickable with hyperlinks. So it will help you go and see the documentation, the paths, also some other resources to explore, and all these things are clickable. So as I hover, you can see that there are URLs that are showing up down there. This is one thing, and then the training and certification guide is also very important. So this is the initial 8 pages of Microsoft training and certification, where you can see the Azure exams or Microsoft 365. So these are the URLs that you can open, and these open the relevant PDFs. There's the certification poster as well to get you a bigger picture of the exam offers. And if you go to the, we'll open this one again. Yes, this one in Azure. So training and certification guide, if I click in there, then you have the 55 pages of the Azure training and certification. But if you are interested in AZ104, then you can just go there and see the links for the AZ104, as well as the modules, as well as this is the fundamentals, data. Where's the, here it is. No, it is the AI Administrator Associate. So this is the clickable PDF and the journey and the links and everything, the modules and etc. etc. So the exam replay I've been telling you about, this is something that you shouldn't neglect. So exam replay and gets you to the offers. The exam replays are also very valuable. These include also the practice test or not, but includes one exam voucher plus one retake if necessary. So if you fail, then you can take the exam again for free. If you go to the support for certification exams, then if you click here, then you get to the page of Microsoft Certification Help. But what's more important is about Microsoft Certification exams, this one. If you haven't taken an exam before, or if you have but you want to read a little bit more, just scroll down a little bit, and then you have the exam format and question types. So briefly, there are videos less than a minute in duration that will show you the sum of the exam and question samples, active screen, best answer, bill list, and case studies. I suggest that you go through these. So you when at the time when you actually take the exam, you will be prepared and already know how the specific exam questions work and what you're expected to do. So hot area, multiple choice, repeated answer choices. These are all different types of questions that can exam items that can be present at well, not all, but some of these, yes. When you take the exam. So I strongly recommend that you go through these and see the types of the exam questions that can be present and when you take an exam. This is also very important. And what else? If you have a Pluralsight subscription, then there's the Microsoft Azure Administrator subscription for course for AZ104. The Pluralsight also has one some good material for preparing, not just for these but other things as well. These are the Pluralsight resources. There are plenty of resources and a lot of resources, and I just cannot simply mention all of them. But as we've heard before, just take at the date of these courses and well, just look at the date of any material that you're reviewing. So just be aware that the only constant thing that in Azure, well, in every cloud is change. So at the time the book is published or the course is published, tomorrow it's obsolete because cloud vendors are changing constantly the user interface, the technical characteristics, capabilities, and descriptions and everything. So don't blame it on the authors. Authors did their best to make to keep the content fresh, but no, unfortunately or fortunately, we move forward. The cloud vendors move forward and then update their technologies, but the books that stay are still valuable. So I suggest that you also take a look at the exam reference and the official Microsoft Press. And as well, there are some other resources, but and I'm mentioning only ones that I personally read or looked at. So this one is okay. You shouldn't rely only on one source to prepare for the exam, but for more resources. What is the definite resource? The definite resource is that you shouldn't neglect is the documentation. But this book is also very good, and this one is also very although it's somewhat outdated. It's 2018, written in October, almost 2 years. There is still 90% and more valuable information in there. So if you have the possibility to get your hands on this one, it's also very good. The one thing that is also important is hands-on. The hands-on, there's also, don't bother copying URLs. There's these URLs are in the presentation. So these are the official labs from Microsoft on the GitHub. So that follow the outline of the AZ104 Microsoft Azure Administrator course, and by clicking these links, close this one. By clicking these links, you can, for example, let's say inter-site connectivity. When you click on these, then these are the labs that you can also take on your own, providing you have the Azure subscription, of course, and there's also instructions and everything else that will help you. Well, the instruction and the timing and so on. So this is the labs online that I suggest that you go through. And documentation, please. I will open this one. docs.microsoft.com. Azure documentation. Please take a look at the documentation. Fortunately enough, I've compiled the resources. Where's my window? I have 3 monitors, and I have to chase the windows in here. Okay, there it is. So you don't have to go through these skills measured and track them in here, because I've already prepared the document with the URLs that follow the skills measured. So if you so the links are here. You will get this in an online folder. I've shared this as well. So if you click here, you can, for example, let's say allow. You can go here and open and see the actual how to plan your Azure AD join implementation and so on. And this is the, for example, Azure update user profile, and so on. So this is the outline and the relevant links to the content. That of course, although these links point only to one page, don't just go through this and that's it. Go a little bit up and down. Just take a look at the how-to guides, plan your Azure AD device deployment or join implementation. Just take a look at these, or some concept or an overview, or some tutorials also are very, very good. Just take a look at these and see if these fall under the skills measured. And this is also very, very important that you go through these as well. I will share these. Well, already have shared, but we'll show you afterwards. And then, oh yes, there is one thing that I have not included in the presentation, but I will show you right now. So if you go to the documentation site, to the Azure, actually azure.microsoft.com, and if you go to resources, and then if you go to the white papers, then just search for lunch. Then there it is, Learn Azure in a Month of Lunches, 2nd edition, and I'll paste this into the chat window. And oh, really? Pluralsight is free for April. Excellent. So that's great news. So Learn Azure in a Month of Lunches, 2nd edition. It's been updated, and it's really, it's not 50 pages book. It's like 500 or more, I think. So with the tasks, with labs, with descriptions and tutorials. So Learn Azure in a Month of Lunches, 2nd edition. This is very, very nice to have. So I strongly recommend that you go through this. It's not obsolete; it's still valid. So this is one that's very, very good. So let's click and paste the new link in here. So there it is. So don't forget about this. It's very, very valuable. And typically, so what's important? Hands-on labs. Important is to go through these links, and important is also to have important is also to go through the additional resources, Microsoft Learn, Azure documentation, and Azure Forums, Azure Tuesdays with Core. This is also very very valuable. Azure Fridays, Channel 9, and etc., as well as Azure Blog or Microsoft Learning Community Blog. These are also valuable. And the link for the labs are is here, but you will get these as in a document. So there it is, the AZ104 exam guides and slides. So this is the URL, and I will paste this one into the chat window. So well, not paste, but actually type HTTPS and tiny URL, or you can just make the screenshot, but I'm just typing this one, YC6E4DR1, and that's it. So is this correct? Yes, YC6A4DR1, yeah, that is. So this is the URL for the presentation, this one, and the documentation, the document with the links to the skills measured, which is I think the most valuable thing in here, because you already have the skills measured links to the exact pages on the documentation side. And one very important thing is that once you pass the exam, then the exams are the certifications are valid for 1 year. So within 6 months of your certification expiring, you'll have the opportunity to extend your certification by a year for free. So how to do that? It is you have to go to the AKA and learn, then log in and sign in. And then when you sign in, there will be there will be a pull-down menu with your certification profile, where you go inside and then see the certification that you have, and the ones and then on the list there will be a certification that that are renewable. You will also get emails as well about the certification renewal possibility. And that is also very important. So as long as you pass the certification renewal, then you will stay certified. Well, if you don't pass it, then you will have to take the exam again. But as of now, if you pass the certification renewal, then you will be holder of the specific certification, in this case AZ104 Azure Associate for indefinitely. One thing to mention as well, some extras learning tips are here. I won't read them because you will get them, as well as these are from my previous certification Saturday presentation, and then you will get the link that as well. And also what else? Yes, this is the one from the previous. So it's important that that you're not learning to pass an exam. So you're learning to secure a future and to be successful at your job. So to be knowledgeable and to be an expert. So if you'll need that knowledge throughout your career. So don't just learn to pass an exam. Learn to learn the stuff that is there, to know it, because as we mentioned previously, and Thiago mentioned that as well, and everyone else. So the knowledge that you gain toward learning and passing the exam, is the thing that will actually secure a future. So this is the non-typical study guide, because I usually, well, I don't find the standard study guides of so much value. They're valuable, of course, but what is more important is to actually pinpoint you to the right resource for learning, and that is the URL PDF for the skills measured, and go from there and read everything in there that is, and then you'll be able to pass. Do a exercises from these links, and after that, I'm strongly confident then that you will pass the exam if you do that. And don't forget, so two things: go through the 104 preparation through the material on Microsoft Learn, and second, click on each and every link in the PDF that you got. I will put that here. There it is. And in this document, and go and read each and every one, and then you'll be good to go. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to unmute or to write, type a question, or ask anything. So please, if you have any other any question whatsoever, let's.
Sasha, I had one.
Yes.
It's about really, because my experience really with Azure is in the cloud purely, and I've never really done much on-premise infrastructure for probably the last 10 years. How much hybrid is actually in the exam now?
It's more than before. In the earlier exams, there were a little less than today, but the hybrid is just in part in this case. Well, you have to know the concepts. You have to know how to connect to the on-prem, and then, but it's not about. Well, I'd say roughly, and this is really roughly 10% to 15%, something like that.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, it's still cloud certification. It's still cloud thing, but most cloud vendors thought that at the beginning of the cloud, let's say Azure or AWS era, that everyone will actually throw away the on-premises stuff and then just embrace the cloud, but this hasn't not happened, and it didn't happen. So the hybrid is here to stay. So 90-something% of the organizations are hybrid. So we still need to have some knowledge from there. So backup, traffic management, for example, routing, and connecting these things, and so on. Backing up, backup is really popular. I mean, not on the exam, but in the real world, site recovery and so on. So that's where these things are being tested on, and especially, of course, if you take the architecture exam. So moving the transitioning to cloud and so on, assessing the resources and moving there. So that's where you need to know the when you migrate resources, then that's where you need to know both things, how the cloud works and how the on-premises work, and what are the characteristics.
Thanks. Right, I'm going to stop recording now.
And I would just say, if what I think about the study guides, I think the real proper study guide would be one like 4 hours or 8 hours, one whole day study guide, something like that. And in 1 hour, it's I don't going through each and every the typical study guide, going to each and every skill measured topic is waste of time. It's better to point students and candidates to the proper resources, and then doing that. So we can do that as well. So if there's need, of course.